nothing is going right for me. I'm just crying and everything. To this state of strength, you can't cry anymore. You just I can't feel sorry for you anymore. You're just like, okay, now I'm here. What's my next move? From that day on, I made a decision that I'm going to find a way to prove myself and prove my worth. From that day on, I realized it was up to me. I had to do it. My mom was not going to do it for me. No one else was going to do it for me. Well, the next thing you need, whenever you're in a state where you realize your true situation, whatever that is, the day that you look around and realize your true situation, and you accept that, you have taken the first step towards getting yourself out of there. Yes. Now, so I found out that what I need to do now is to start mapping out a plan. And the plan that I mapped out was, I need to focus on education. My mom used to tell me over and over, but when someone is telling you something, especially when you're young, that's not enough. You need a vision. You need to understand, if I do this, and do this next, and do that next, here's what happens. And let me give you some examples of that, right? So that's what happened. My best friend, mother, was the head nurse at the local hospital. His father was the owner of the retail store, and they're all Chinese. And I have Chinese on my father's side. So they used to take me in. I used to be the best friend of their youngest son. So I got to see success. And she used to talk to me like I was a son. That was the first experience I had of an adoptive parent. That was it. So that idea of someone saying, you know what, when you drink from the pipe, don't put your mouth on it, use your hand because a worm may come in your hand. I still remember that. So it's not just the resources that we're going to give these kids in terms of money raised, and Eric is amazing. He can get you to buy Eskimo, you'll sell ice cream. It's not just the money that we're here to raise for kids. It's not just the clothes or the extra house and all these things. It's going to be us and our words and what we're going to say to them. And I trust that the Seventh-day Adventist Church already knows that. It's about spirituality. So we're going to help these kids not just with our money. So the point is, I then decided that I can get somewhere. And she used to say to me, Kingsley, I think you could become a doctor. And I believed that. My mom used to say the same thing. So then I decided, here's what I'm going to do. I want to study and get to Oxford University. I want to show my father that I can get to the best university in England where he lives. I figured that's how I'm going to get, that's what I'm going to do. And so I started working towards that. And I would study as much as I can, then I found out I was pretty good at athletics. Eventually what happened was, I made my way to the United States of America on the soccer scholarship. The reason I got that scholarship was because I had studied, passed all my A-levels and O-levels, so I was qualified academically, but I also had the physical ability. And I married that together and I got the scholarship. Once I got to New York City, I went to Columbia University. The first thing I did was I got a job in the cafeteria, washing dishes. And that allowed me to eat for free and make some money. I used to send my mom $5 a month. Tears in my eyes every time I put that in that religiously. So I want you to understand what it feels like to be adopted. Because at 15, my mom packed my Milo and my milk and some clothes in a box. And I went to live with Lloyd Chen. He was the principal at Titchfield High School at 15. I said, Mom, is this the right thing? Yes. And I went there, and he adopted me, right? Not legally, he adopted me. And I learned from him every single day as a principal. And so that was the next level of learning to be around a male figure that was super bright and could paint for me a vision of what the next step was. My mom did everything she could, My friend's mom did everything she could in buffet. Now I was in a different adoptive situation where the principal of a high school would then start to paint me a picture of what else can be done. I still remember when he talked to me about business. He said, you know, if you're going to do business, find a way to get other people to invest alongside you. Don't just use all your money. I still remember that today. I still remember that. So now I'm in the United States. And the soccer coach was my next adoptive parent. Because I got there with a t-shirt on, pair of jeans, $47 in my pocket, no coat or anything like that. He had to take me shopping to buy me some stuff. I didn't have any of that. So there I was in the United States at a prestigious university. And I had some help, but then I had to also fend for myself. And from there, I started to get the confidence because now I know that I can keep going. I then went to work when my other colleagues were going to graduate school because I did not have the luxury to keep going to school. I wanted to help my mom some more. I wanted to also help myself. I wanted to know what it felt like to actually have a job and have some money. So don't be a race. Life, you're part of the human race. Don't add more race to that. Right? Everyone is trying to rush to become rich. I get that. So, and I'm in New York City. So I learned to go out and get a job and get some experience about what it feels like to actually work for someone, to actually make a salary, and then to figure out what to do with that. From there, after about 3 years, I then applied to medical school. I got into every single medical school I applied to. It was amazing. Right? And the reason for that is not just how smart I was, it's the fact that I had been paving my way and my story was very compelling to people. I remember going to Harvard Medical School and interviewing. And the interviewer was so interested in my story. You're only supposed to have a certain amount of time. He wanted to know what it felt like to play soccer and hear all the crowd. He wanted to live through me. He wanted to know what it felt like to be poor. I mean, how poor were you? I mean, I'm like, I know you can't understand this, so I'm not going to go into detail because I know you can't understand it, right? But you start succeeding in your life, people are going to be interested in helping you, right? And so when you're adopted or when you're an orphan, you're going to, over time, if you start to develop your own sense of purpose, people want to help you, right? My 3 kids, whenever they're nice to me, guess what? I want to do everything I want for them. When they're not nice to me, I should kick them out of the house. But I tell my kids it all the time. I just want you to be one thing. I want you to be the nicest person you can. And when you are, here's what's going to happen. People are going to be super nice to you, right? I try to teach them that. And so that's what I started to learn. I need to be inclusive. I need to show people that I have a purpose in life. So, for many children, without a father or mother, they won't have my level of success. But that's not what it's about. It's about measuring against me or you or anyone else. They need a chance to prove themselves. That's really what they need. Kids are very resilient. They are. I'll tell you right now, this is the old story, teach me how to fish, don't just give me fish. As much as we want to offer these kids comfort, I never had a TV. I never had a refrigerator. My sister and I would take turns deciding who today is going to go buy ice for Sunday. That's the only time I had ice in my house. Was Sunday after I come home from church. As I got older, I actually went to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I was, on Saturday, by then, life was much better.
All right.
So it's important that we understand that kids are resilient, and what we're trying to give these kids that we're going to work to help is this sense of purpose. They need to get that, right? They need to get that. I had one toy gun that my mom would pull out every Christmas. That was it. I'm sure I'm hearing some testament in here. I'm not alone, right? My sister had a beat up doll that she would always be playing with her hair and pretend it's all kind of money. The same doll every year. The rest of the year, I had a little wheel out everywhere I go. Me and my little wheel. I had some marbles in my pocket. Every now and then I'll win some stealing. Listen, what I'm trying to say is, don't cry tears for kids because they don't have TV and they don't have a refrigerator and their parents don't have cars. That's not what kids want. I was one of those kids. I only had one parent. I just needed someone to tell me that you can be better.
Yes.
We all need to be in the race. Unfortunately, for a lot of children, they never get to the starting block. Those are the students that I see you reaching out to, and that's where I believe the greatest power of what you're trying to do lies. It's not finding kids that you want life to be better for them. You want kids who are not going to even get up to the starting block. The kids that are already in the race, as hard as things may be, and we're just having a discussion, your mom is struggling and she's barely making ends meet. That's okay. If that mom hangs in there and just keeps trying, those kids just need someone to tell them that, look at your mom. You need to settle down and get your act together so that you can help her 15 years from now. That kid doesn't need your resources here. That kid needs your inspiration.
Yes.
I want you to listen to me carefully. Where you're going to put this resource is not with the kids who are struggling. You want to get the kids like you're getting now who are not even going to get to the starting block without you. And so I applaud you for doing that. We are all connected and interdependent in this world. We are. It's very important that we do that. We realize that. So every child that we help, okay, could become that child that's going to develop the light bulb. That child could learn from that person and develop alternative current that's going to light the world. Steve Jobs was an orphan, was adopted. Everyone knows Steve Jobs?
Yes.
And he dropped out of school, college, a year and a half into it. And he founded Apple, right? That happened. Now, because you don't know who's the next Steve Jobs, you can't start to look at a child and start making judgment.
Yes.
You know, when I drive around Kingston and I drive around the small town, and I look at these little kids in patchbacky and running around, that used to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many of you here probably don't have a video of what you look like. But if someone looked at you and said, you know, man, I don't think you're going to get anywhere, they would have been wrong, right? Yeah. You just cannot judge any child. The child could be slow at what you think, rather than someone else. You can't judge that child. You know, I used to struggle with math. Right? I used to struggle with math for a while. I mean, I was doing all right, but I was behind. Then something happened after third form. And to this day, many of my friends said, dude, what happened? You know, it just happened for me. I was just a late bloomer. After third form, math just became easier for me, and I just kept working on it. I used to be a troublemaker. My mom just had trouble managing me. Well, it's because I realized I wanted to be stimulated. So a lot of times in life, even today as an adult, people are going to judge you based on whatever criteria they bring from their lives. We just cannot judge any child that we see.
Yes.
Because you will never be right. I promise you will never be right.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that they're going to become the next prime minister, but they may. Doesn't mean they're going to become a surgeon, but they may. But I'm sure when you start judging kids, you actually really don't understand that that kind of feeling, children will feel that. You don't want to be in that position. It may seem like a radical idea, what EFCC is doing to many. Because currently, there is a movement towards getting children in family homes. But institutions are still the dominant force. And when you have kids in these institutions, they're 10 times more likely to go into prostitution. They're 40 times more likely to become criminals. They're over 500 times more likely to contemplate suicide. These are the alternative to what you're trying to do here. This is an amazing journey that the Adventist Church has started on, because this could change the world. Greater than all the law enforcement things that we talk about that's going to treat these problems downstream. But you just don't know which one of these kids is going to be the next Steve Jobs. Which one of these kids is going to be the next Thomas Edison that's going to come up with something so revolutionary that's going to change the world. But you have to have that kind of faith when you do this kind of work. It can't be 1 + 1 = 2. You know, we put $100,000 into this, and then this is what happened that came out of it. It's the fact that you're applying your faith to the human spirit, that if you give that spirit that idea that it can become something great, and if you lay out these steps, that the result is why you're Christians. It's the result as to why you're committing your life in the short time you have on this earth to make a difference in people's life. I thank you for this, and I'm really honored to be amongst you for the great work that you're doing. Thank you very much.